uh, common cancers. Then we also have liver cancer. Yeah, that's high as well, prevalence in Nigeria. And then for women, we have breast cancer and cervical cancer. So breast cancer is the leading cause of death, in women in Nigeria. And cervical cancer is second most frequent cancer amongst women. And this cervical cancer actually affects younger women. So reproductive age of women, because it's cancer that affects the cervix, so the reproductive canal, the birth canal. And then women between the age of 15 to 44, they are usually very prone to that cervical cancer. And like I said before, if you see the chart here, breast cancer has got the highest here, 23% on its own, standalone, followed by prostate cancer, 14.3%, and then cervical cancer, 10.9%. All other cancers, we have over 100 types. You can see all of the cancers is almost 44.4%, but you can see why breast cancer is the leading, because on its own, it accounts for 23.9% of all cancers. Next slide, please. Yes. So talking about the
Apologies,
signs and
Laura.
symptoms.
Apologies, Laura. Just to inform everyone, this meeting is being recorded. We seek your consent to record for backup purposes. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Okay. So if you look at this figure I have here, we've got the signs and symptoms to look out for cancer. So we've broken them down into the head, neck, chest region, and then the abdomen, and then of course lower extremities, lower legs, the leg region. So if you look at the head, some common symptoms to look out for that are probably signs and symptoms of cancer will be a croaky voice. So if your voice is generally normal and then all of a sudden you notice that it's a bit croaky, it's not like you've been singing in the choir or you've been, shouting and dancing. It's just stay croaky for a long time, then please see your doctor. Hoarseness of voice, and then a cough that won't go away. Those are all signs. It could be, throat cancer. It could be mouth cancer. So if you're spitting out blood, that is a sign that's coughing out blood. You must go see your doctor. If you also have difficulty in swallowing, and then I'll touch on a mouth or tongue ulcer. Yeah. So if for no reason you're not you don't have a cold, or even if you think, oh, it's a cold, I have like those ulcers people have around their lips, but then you think it's spreading, it's around the mouth area, the tongue, please see your doctor, because there could be signs of early signs of cancer. And then breathlessness, yes. Sometimes people just think, oh, I'm always tired. That's one big sign of cancer. When you're always tired, fatigue, you're sleeping at night, but you end up being really, really tired during the day, is probably a sign of cancer. And also unexplained, bleeding, bruising, like I said, if you shouldn't be coughing out blood for any reason. Blood stays in the vessel. So there's no reason why blood should be coming out. So if you see blood anywhere, you must see your doctor, because that might be an early sign. And the great news about cancer is if it's caught early, it can be treated, and you can go back to work and go back to your family and go back to life as normal. And then looking at the stomach area, unusual changes to, okay, let's talk about the breast first. Yeah, so still on the chest area. So if you see unusual changes to the size and shape of the breast for the women, for instance, and then nipple changes, your body very well. One good thing with cancer is if you know your body, you should know you're normal. When you know what is normal for you, then when something is not normal, then you'll be going to your doctor, because you know yourself. Check yourself regularly. For women, we do say in once in a month, if you're still seeing your period, maybe choose just about 7 days after your period. So 1 week after your period, you should be just have it in the back of your mind. A week after my period, 2 weeks maximum, try and check the breast, stand in front of a mirror and feel your breast. And then if you see any lumps, you raise on. There's a video I'll probably share with you guys later. You raise your hand up and check not just the breast, but the lymph, the on your armpits, yeah, under your arm. Those are areas where cancer signs can spread out, and you can really actually see lumps there and alert your doctor. So you will do that once in a month. If you've stopped seeing your period, maybe just do the first of the month. Good time when you get paid. Yeah, happy day. Just make sure you have that date on your calendar as when you're checking yourself. Just go to the mirror. You're alone in the house, alone in your bedroom. Go to the mirror and stand in front of the mirror, check your entire body and see if there's anything that's different. And then for the stomach area, if you see bloating, persistent bloating, it might be a sign of ovarian cancer or any other stomach cancer, because you shouldn't be bloated if you're not eating, probably eating late or something, but you think it's a regular occurrence, then you should be seeking help. Loss of appetite as well, that's another one. If for no reason you're not pregnant, you're just losing appetite, you can't eat, if you eat a little, you're full, those are signs that your bowel might be, changing. There might be something there that needs checking. And then, of course, if you usually go to the toilet, say, for instance, every day, and now for 1 week you've not been able to go, you're constipated, then of course it should be checked. Sometimes it might just be constipation, but if it's carried on for over 2 weeks, then that needs checking, because there's no reason why you can't have bowel movements in 2 weeks, then you should be going to the doctor. If you're stooling, and then it's watery, it's really loose, then of course, yeah, and it carries on for days and days and weeks, just give it 14 days. Nothing, like I said, 14 days is a long time to have one symptom. 14 days is kind of like the peak, you should be seeking medical advice and medical help. Of course, blood in your poo, that is a no-no. There's no reason why you should have blood in your poo. If you see that, please go to the doctor. It might be an early sign of bowel cancer or any other stomach cancer. And then for the lower part of the body, for women, like we said, cervical cancer is very common as well amongst women. So if you're seeing unexpected vaginal bleeding after your period, if your period lasts for 4 days, 5 days as your normal, but it's carrying on for 10 days, for 12 days, and that's not normal. And then if it's you're having bleeding after sex, that's not normal. If you're not on your period and you think, you've had sex, and then trust me, go to your doctor. Those are just your body giving you signs that something might be wrong, something is wrong. Yeah. And of course, blood in your pee, like I said, you shouldn't be having blood in your pee or in your poo. Yeah. So those are kind of like, and then for the skin cancers, there's this notion that Black people don't have skin cancer. Yeah, but people can have skin cancer, doesn't matter your race, the color, because the skin, everybody has skin. So any organ, if everybody, we all have living cells. As long as you have living cells, you have living tissues, cancer can happen to anybody. So skin cancer can happen to Black people as well. I know we've got melanin, but it doesn't really protect us, a lot from the things that cause skin cancer. So please, if you're seeing skin changes, sores, redness that should not be there, then you should be seeking help. Yes, mole. I'll talk about the moles quickly, because sometimes skin cancers results from it just gives you that little, like I said, symptom. The mole is there. And yeah, so if you see that the mole is changing, is growing, is becoming reddish, yeah, then definitely seek medical advice. Okay, so like we said, when you have all those signs, you're going for medical help. Then if you don't have signs of cancer, good, just make sure you maintain a healthy lifestyle to prevent cancer, because there's some things that can cause cancer, bad, like I said, bad diet, eating high processed food. If you're always eating processed food, it could, cause cancer in the future. And then if you're not drinking, a lot of water, you're just drinking fizzy drink instead of drinking water, your body needs water. Fine, once in a while you can, go for those sugary drink, but your body needs more of water. And of course, no smoking, because lung cancer, the most, number one cause of lung cancer is smoking. Of course, also alcohol, drinking too much alcohol can cause some cancers, even breast cancer. We've seen researches where women that actually drink alcohol a lot, they can have breast cancer in their lifetime. And never forget to exercise, like we said. Okay. So yeah, this is a photo of myself and 3 beautiful women who had breast cancer in Manchester, and they spotted it early because they were looking out for signs. And when they saw those signs, they did not ignore those signs. They went to the doctor and they were able to treat them early, and then now they're back to life as normal. They finished their treatment. One of them has gone back to, in fact, both of them, the two ladies on our right have gone back to uni, and then they've done nursing course. They're both nurses, practicing nurses now. And then the other lady on my left, Jenny is carrying on with family life. Her kids are grown in university, and then she's, they're all happy. And, so that's because they caught their cancer early. I'll give you some of the reasons why we should, focus on early detection. So it reduces loss of lives, because like I said, when cancer is caught late, then it would have spread. That's what they call metastatic cancer. Then there's nothing they can do for you. So if you can catch it early, they can get it treated, either chemotherapy, radiotherapy, immunotherapy, and of course, please, no anointing oil, no holy water, no prayers. I know prayers, of course, you should pray, but please go to the doctor, because sometimes as Africans, we just kind of want to pray and fast over everything. Trust me, God gave the doctors the wisdom and the skills to make those medicines and those therapies. Please don't pray for a breast lump to disappear. I know a lot of us do go to online churches and everything, prayer, still go for them, but please carry your doctor along. They go together. And also, can I just finish the last few last points on the previous slides? Yes. So it allows people to return to work, like your president said earlier. It's only people that are healthy that can go to work. That's the truth. If you're not well, how are you gonna work? So when you catch cancer early, you can quickly get it treated and return to work. But when it's left late, prostate cancer, for instance, when it's left too late, sometimes the man will have to lose his ability to perform in the bedroom, and that breaks marriages. It causes mental breakdown. It causes a lot of distress, because then, imagine a young man in his 50s. Life just begins at 50 for a lot of people, because they've left the symptoms, prostate cancer symptoms, late. Then sadly, once they have the operation, they can't go back to performing their manly duties. And yeah, but if it's caught early, those life can go back to normal. The next slide, please. So I just want to play a quick video just to say that even in the UK, not just Nigeria, it's like an African thing and a cultural thing with breast cancer. Sometimes people have families, moms and grandmothers that have had breast cancer, but they're not telling the children, they're not telling their daughters. And that's kind of like a problem with our community, because people would have gone for those checks, those tests, the screening, if they had known that they had, a family history of cancer. Let's just please be quickly, and I'll go on, I'll touch on screening. Yeah.
Is the reason you think for this family history genetic? It must be.
Is it the BRCA one?
Yeah,
that's a lot of family history behind it, isn't it? And most women that have black women that have breast cancer, their mother or grandmother may have had it, but because of the cultural thing, they don't even know, because they wouldn't know it was cancer. Oh, my grandmother died, but there was hush around what
That's interesting.
caused.
So they may not have noticed if someone died and not knowing how.
And also, you often get, don't you, people particularly who say they died of liver cancer, whereas actually they didn't die of liver cancer. They died of liver cancer from spread from breast cancer. So you'll get false information as well.
Yes. So we see family history is really important to know about your family history. Please speak to your parents. Make sure you're having those conversations with your parents, grandparents. Has anybody had breast cancer in the family? Has anybody had prostate cancer in the family? Because those cancers, they have some form of hereditary behind them. If a dad has had prostate cancer, for instance, then the son may likely have it in his lifetime. So if you know your father had prostate cancer, then please go for a test. There's a screening for prostate cancer called the PSA. It's a blood test. Just send your blood to the lab and they're able to check for your risk of prostate cancer. Because, when it's caught early, a lot of things can be prevented, full-blown cancer down the line. And for breast cancer, if you have family history of breast cancer, then there's mammogram. I'm not sure how many hospitals offer mammogram in Nigeria, but make your inquiries. There are some cancer charities, Project Pink Blue, that support people with about cancer and signpost you to where the hospitals are, where you can do your mammogram. Ask your family doctor. I know everybody has a doctor where they go to. Ask them to refer you to a hospital or a clinic where you can do a mammogram. Because if you actually have history of breast cancer, then they can catch it early. They can see the cells, the abnormal cells, even before they become cancer, and then they can actually advise you on either chemotherapy or even having an operation to remove the lump. And then, of course, then it won't be growing into a full-blown cancer if they are removed. And also for cervical cancer, there is a screening available for that. Mostly, like in the UK, we have a vaccine they give to young girls. So from the age of 11, I think from 11 years, they give them a HPV vaccine. It's just a jab on their shoulder that prevents in the future. I know people say, oh, wow, they having that vaccine is going to make them promiscuous. No, it wouldn't. It's just to prevent, because you don't even know. The girl might keep herself pure and everything, but you don't know where the guy has been, the boyfriend or the future husband has been. And he could be a carrier of the virus, the human papilloma virus that causes cervical cancer. So it's better to prevent it than cure. Like we always say, it's better than cure. Yeah, so the vaccine, there's hospitals offering it in Nigeria. I know it's not a big thing in Nigeria. The screening is not widely practiced in Nigeria, but these are things that we can start practicing. Ask your doctor, can I have the vaccine for my young girls? Can I have there are some that can be given to young men as well. And then if you're a young woman, for instance, you can actually have the vaccine as well, or you start doing the screening. They call it the smear test. So if you've missed out on the vaccine as a young girl, then make sure like in the UK, what they do is every 3 years, they call us between the age of 25 and 50, they call you for a smear test. So every 3 years. And if there is a little sign that there's some abnormal cells, then they call you back to have further tests, or they make it like yearly for you just to keep an eye on it. And then, so those screenings actually prevent full-blown cancers happening. And the bowel cancer, the last one I want to touch about, because, our diet is really high carb, high starch and everything. We do the pounded yam and the starch and the amala and all those high starch foods. Sometimes they don't break down completely and they can cause, problems down the line. But make sure you are adding lots of vegetables to your diet. A high veg diet, high fiber diet really, really helps to, digest food. It helps with digestion and general health and general well-being. So there's tests for bowel cancer. So if you think there's blood in your poo, or you usually have high constipation, they ask for the bowel tests in Nigeria. I'm sure there must be hospitals that offer that, or you can even do like a scan. They do like full MRI scan and stuff just to check what is going on, the ultrasounds and stuff. Yeah. Okay. Next slide. Right. So any questions?
Fantastic.
Let's take some questions.
Thank you very much, Laura. Thank you very much indeed. I was watching the time and I was about to just tell you.
Okay, yeah. So we did well with time. Thanks for that.
You did well with time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed. So we'll take questions at this point. Please feel free to indicate by raising your hand or typing in the chat box, and we will read out your questions.
There's one in the chat I can see. Olubukola Oyekunle. It says, is the vaccine, which vaccine are you talking about? Is it the HPV vaccine or which of them?
Bukola, do you want to clarify? You can unmute and just speak.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the opportunity. So I was asking about the vaccine you mentioned that they give to young girls in the UK. That's just a jab on their shoulder. If it's available in Nigeria for male adults as well, I think that would be very nice.
Yes, I know some hospitals do it in Nigeria. It's both for young men and young women. Usually when they are like at puberty, that's when it is very effective. So the vaccines are given like between the age of 11 and 15. I think, yes. So yes, I know a couple of my contacts have said they have the HPV vaccine in Nigeria. So you can just maybe ask your doctor. But if, like I said, if it's not available and then you think you've passed the age, then you can do screenings. You can then, check. So if you are worried about, go for a health check and they can check all of that.
Thank you. We have one other question in the chat box. This is from the Vice Chairman, the Bolawa Batunde FCIS. It says the test question indicated, Laura, can I suggest that we take all the questions together so that you can respond all at once, just to manage time?
Okay,
the test question indicated that there is no vaccine for cancer, so please reconcile with HPV vaccine. That's one question. Yeah. The other question here is, what if one has continuous loose poos like diarrhea? Is this a great risk for bowel cancer? Is this a great risk for bowel cancer? So those two questions, have you noted those?
Okay.
I have some questions of my own. Let me just throw that in the mix. So you mentioned during your presentation that drugs that work for one race may not work for another. I had a personal experience recently where a colleague, we traveled overseas together, and he died. And there were suspicions that perhaps those doctors didn't quite know how to handle our types, our race, So it was interesting when you said that. Perhaps you could shed a bit more light on what you meant by that. Has there been any actual experience where certain drugs worked on people of a different skin and didn't work on, brown skin people? That's my first question. The second question is, there is a myth around prostate cancer. I'd like to get your view on this. And apologies in advance. Some people have a theory that men over 40 who do not have regular sexual intercourse are predisposed to prostate cancer. Is there any truth to this? Those are my questions.
Okay. Those are lovely questions. Yeah. So for the first question, of course, we asked if there's a vaccine for cancer, and the answer was no. There's no vaccine for cancer generally, but the HPV vaccine is just to prevent cervical cancer. So that's the difference. Yeah, one of them is just for one particular cancer to prevent it from happening in the future if the person is immune to it, from taking the vaccine. But cancer generally, for like how people have vaccine for malaria, tuberculosis and stuff, we don't have that for cancer. But good news is the researchers are doing a lot of work. I know there's been on the news that they are trying to, see how they can work on getting a vaccine for cancer, just to prevent whatever type of cancer as a whole. And then the second question says if there's loose poo like diarrhea. Yeah, it might be, yes. So like I said, make sure if it continues, sometimes you have loose poo because of what you've eaten. Yeah, that's probably okay, because you ate maybe beans or something, and or you ate from somebody that was not very hygienic in preparing the food. Yeah, that's fine. But if it continues like every day for 2 weeks non-stop, I think just give it 14 days should be like your mark. If nobody should be having loose poo 14 days stretch, then please seek medical advice.
And Laura, apologies. Before you go on with the next response, I must acknowledge that we have been joined by the #1 citizen of our beloved institute, our president and chairman of council, Mrs. Uto Ukpana, FCIS. Thank you very much for joining us, Ma.
Thank you.
Please go ahead, Laura.
Okay. So for your question, Mr. Adilaja, I know you said the aggressive form of cancer, you said if there's some treatment that work for brown skin or don't work for white skin. Yes, there are. So research has shown that Black people, for instance, have the most aggressive forms of cancer. The breast cancer that affects Black women is triple negative, is really aggressive. That's why most times you see, even in the UK, more Black women die from breast cancer than any other race, because it's all down to genetics. sadly, just our genetics and the genes and everything. So the triple negative breast cancer is the one that affects Black women mostly, and the drugs are, of course, the drugs that work for a white woman, for instance, who has just a normal breast cancer, would not work for a Black woman that has the aggressive form of cancer. That's why we always say we need to be joining research. Even in Nigeria, I know a lot of doctors and all, they come to you for research, and PhD researchers from the uni. Please make sure you make it available, because if they're not researching, if they're not finding out what we need in our amongst our people, then they're not going to find the right treatment for our cases. So like in the charity here, we make sure we take part in research and encourage our services to take part in research all the time. So that's an example of the kind of in breast cancer, the differences of drugs that might work for one race and not work for the other. And then the fourth question here is the myth around prostate cancer. So if you're sexually active, then you may not have breast cancer. That's just a myth. Yeah, there's no research that say if you're having sex generally, you're not going to have cancer. It can still happen to a sexually active man that is married, that has a partner, and then because it's it's in the body, it cells just change. So that's why you should be looking out for signs like with men, for instance, if you notice that your urine is not as frequent as before, that might be a sign. You go to the bathroom, you're struggling to urinate, or you're actually having the urge to urinate regularly, then that might be a sign of prostate cancer. Please seek help. Ladies, you should keep an eye on your husband. I know men generally don't like going to the doctor. So ladies should keep an eye on their partners. So if you see he's in the bathroom, you can hear his wee is just dropping, like that just drop, then ask him, please, maybe it's time to go see a doctor, because your urine is not coming out like before. Like when guys are young, they urinate like it's really, somebody said, it's like it goes far, but when it starts to reduce in the pace and the length, then those might be signs that something is happening. If it's like not really a problem when it's still low, but it shouldn't be too low. Like I said, it shouldn't be extremely just dropping and then it's not coming out, and you go back to your seat, you're running back again because the urge is there, but the urine is just not coming. There might be a sign of prostate cancer. Okay, I think, yes, that's pretty much all the questions I've got. Any more questions for us?
That's correct. There is one question on the chat box. It says, any vaccine for older adults, 40s and above?
Is it for the HPV vaccine? No. So if you're 40 and above, then you will just need to do the screening. Yeah, because I know we've answered that question in the charity. So if you've missed the chance to take the vaccine, I think it's really around early 20s. You can still take the vaccine up until early 20s. But once it's beyond that, you might just need to stick with the every 3 years. Make sure you're going for a smear test every 3 years. And then if they find anything abnormal, then they would call you back for more tests. So you make sure I don't know how it works in Nigeria. I know you don't have there's no screening system in Nigeria, but you should be the one to take your health in your hands. Nobody's going to take your health for you. You're the one alive. You're the person managing your body. I'm not going to wake you up and say, go for your screening. Your doctor doesn't have it's not obliged to remind you. You should be the one to say, this is my health. I have constant headaches, I'm spitting blood, I'm pooing blood. Then take your own health in your own hands and make sure you're going to the doctor to do further tests.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. If you can accommodate one more question from me. There is another myth around microwaves and the fact that they tend to predispose one to cancer. Is there any truth to this?
Yeah, as of now, it's still a myth because we don't really know. It's still a myth about microwave. But what I know is once you start to receive cancer treatment, then you shouldn't be using the microwave to warm your food, because then you're already exposed to rays from your radiotherapy and chemotherapy. So what the doctors do here, everybody uses microwave, but you can make sure you try and reduce the times. If you know you can heat your food on the cooker, just do that instead of microwave. But once you are receiving chemotherapy, radiotherapy, any treatment for cancer, then you shouldn't be using microwave to heat your food.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I think we have
comments in the chat.
Yes.
So it says
I'll
I
just
did
read it out.
Cancer screen. Okay, go on. Yeah.
Okay. This is from Oluwaseun. I did cervical screening in 2022. Do you advise and do another screening this year?
Yes, I think it's 3 years now. Yeah, you should be doing one. I think for ladies, I think every 3 years is okay. But if you've been told there are some abnormalities, please go ask them to do further tests. They can do like more thorough tests. But every 3 years is just okay. So 2025 should be a good time to do another one.
Fantastic. Another question here. How about attachment? Do they cause cancer? I'm assuming this is hair attachment.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's all mates as well. There's no, I think some people are trying to do researches now because, to be fair, a lot of Black women usually have cancers. So the doctors have not said point blank that those attachments and extensions cause cancer. But I know there was a social media outcry one time about somebody testing all the braids and all the extensions. They all had carcinogenic materials in them. Yeah, probably very little. Yeah, but it's, to be fair, the Cancer Research Institute have not said point blank that we shouldn't use those products because there's no hard research to say they actually cause cancer.
Very good. Thank you. Do we have any further comments, questions? I can't see any hands raised, and there's no comments.
There's one more.
Okay, yes, we do have one.
Yeah.
So these days, this is from Chief Adewale Adenija, Honorary Secretary for Lagos State Chapter. These days, we see a lot of young people and some adults tint their hair into various colors. Any risk for cancer?
There are no, at the moment, there are no indicative answers to say hair colors or attachments, or just like you retouching your hair when we used to use relaxers and everything. There's no, they've not been linked to causing cancer. But I think everything should be done in moderation, though, with life, because like if there are no researches yet, doesn't mean I'll just throw myself in there and tint my hair every minute. I think everything should be done in moderation because you never can tell what is causing one thing or the other. So if you just do things in moderation, you're retouching your hair, try and do it like once in a year, once, twice a year is okay, and not do it every month, every 2 months. I think, yeah, just do things in moderation. But most of these are myths. They're not, there's no hard rule to say those things cause cancer. That's why you don't find them in medical journals or medical materials.
Thank you very much. Madam Chair, please take note. Chief is celebrating this feedback from our guest speaker, just in case you see him tinting his hair next time.
Since he wants to tint his hair, he has plans.
Yes. Okay. I have one further question for you.
Okay.
So lately, there has been an upsurge in cases of colorectal cancer. This is cancer of the colon. In the, I think it's the bowels or something, intestines. In the past 2 years, I think I know of 2 people who have died from this. And there's been some discussions around this being attributable to the food we eat. And some people have cited genetically modified, food as contributing to that. Please share your view on this.
Yeah, that was what I said earlier, that sometimes these highly processed foods, they cause problems for a lot of people. That's why we say try and eat more veg, because there's no way they're going to process vegetables. So eat more fresh vegetables and fruits. So have a high fiber diet, because that way you're helping your bowel to move. The bowel movement when you're eating vegetables and fruits. Here we say 5 a day, so it has to be 5 fruits and veg a day. So you can see how much, that's show you how much. You're not going to eat just one apple. It has to be like apple, a banana, a pear, grapes, everything. And then of course your spinach, a foriro or something. Make sure it's a lot you're consuming every day. So high fruits and fiber diet is really key to preventing those colorectal cancers. Yeah, and you're right. Those they're very common amongst our people. I think it's mostly because of our food. Like I said earlier in the presentation, we have a lot of high starch diets. All our food, rice, our main food, it's starch. Pounded yam, gari, amala, everything is starch. That's why we encourage people to portion size. I know people like to eat. They say, "Oh, he's got a plate full of meat. He's rich." No, you might be rich in money, but you're not rich in health. You're not rich in. You've got to be wise and eat less red meats and more of chicken or fish. Do more of fish, because you can never go wrong with fish and white meat, so the chicken and the turkey, and those things are not red meats. Cow meat, try and stay away from it for, because those are the things that are not very good for our bowels and our system generally.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I don't see any further comments and there are no hands raised. May I crave the indulgence of Madam President? We have you here. May we crave your indulgence to please honor us with a goodwill message, if you will, please, ma'am. Okay. Madam President, I'm not sure if you heard us.
My apologies. I didn't hear. I didn't hear.
Good afternoon, Ma. We were craving your indulgence to take advantage of your presence to please honor us with a goodwill message, Ma.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you can still hear me.
Yes, Ma, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm not sure why the video is not loading. It still says loading. But video or no video, I want to first commend Lagos State Chapter for this very, very informative session. I joined about 10 minutes into the session just as a speaker had just started her session. And so I didn't miss anything. I listened in the background carefully because these are things that are very important as governance professionals. We must ensure that we are healthy. Health is wealth. And without good health, you really can't go about your day-to-day activities. We cannot be there for our family and friends. This is even more important because when one is cognizant of the past and recent losses in families that could have been prevented or could have been managed better if we had information. So for me, the first place is always awareness. Awareness about the health risk, the health potential, the exposures, sometimes owing to lifestyle, and being aware of the lifestyle changes that we have to make. I was particularly interested because I lost 2 friends in the last 3 weeks to various forms of cancer. In fact, on the week of my investiture, a very close friend passed on. So even that day was, bittersweet for me. And some of these cancers can be quite aggressive, as Dr. Ubo has mentioned. For some, for instance, bowel cancer, those are things that we really don't realize. So thank you for really taking us through various forms of cancer, the things we can do to mitigate exposure and how to even best manage them. And it all begins with awareness and screening. We are very spiritual people, and it doesn't mean that being spiritual excludes you screening and also utilizing the expertise of medical professionals to help us stay alive. So I really want to thank you, Dr. Ubo, for the excellent expose and making it very simple for all of us to understand. We don't need to be doctors or in diagnostics to understand what you have said. And once again, to Lagos State, well done. This has been very helpful and insightful. To Efosa, the chairman of Lagos State Chapter, and the entire team at Lagos State Chapter, thank you. And for all those who have joined, I know the Vice Chair will thank you, but I believe it's important. And all I would say is next time, actively engage other chapters to also join and benefit from these sessions. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam President. Thank you sincerely.
Thank you, Mrs.
Laura?
Rufina. Yeah, I'm not a doctor yet. I'm just a community campaigner. Yeah, but that's in view. Yeah,
my
doctor is in
apologies,
view.
but
Yeah.
in view.
In view, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for your comments. And then yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Laura. If there are no further comments, okay, I think there's a comment. Let's just take that very quickly. Please, how safe is chicken broiler meat, especially 4 weeks old? Please just note that. I'll read out all the questions. There's another comment here. I joined late. I don't know if something was spoken about pregnancy preventive drugs. Is it safe? Those are the 2 comments that we have. Please take those.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, for the chicken broiler meat, I think it's those chicken is it genetically modified? They grow them really quick. Yeah, there's really we've not seen any research on those, but we just keep saying it's better to go with natural foods. So I kind of would avoid. I know a lot of traders, they're not very truthful. They might just mix them up with the real meat or the real chicken. But I think if you see them and you think you don't want, I think sometimes just common sense as well. Like, why would chicken be grown in the lab, for instance? 4 weeks. Chicken takes months to grow. So yeah, I would avoid those genetically modified food generally. Yeah, and even if there's no research here to say those foods cause cancer, but I know there's definitely researches on highly processed food. So those tin food, corned beef, and canned food, and things that are processed and tinned and packed and put in packets and stuff. Yeah, we should avoid those or consume very little of those. And another question was
on the
something about pregnancy. Okay.
Drugs.
Yeah, I don't think they are linked to cancer though. Yeah, they're not. The ones that are linked to cancer are those hormonal ones. Yeah, not all of it are linked to cancer, but I think people that take a lot of the ones that have hormones, like those pills. Yeah, well, yeah, some pills, but not all of it. We're not going to just rule out, because of course people take a lot of people are on pregnancy preventive drugs and tablets. But if you see the back of the medicine, usually gives the warning of what it can cause, what side effects. But I would advise to stay away from the high hormone ones. If you can maybe take them for a while and then come off it, I think that would be helpful, not to just be on it for years and years and years, because there's research that connects breast cancer with some of the hormonal pills, the morning pills. But the other ones, like the coil, the implants that don't cause that don't have any traces of or any correlation with cancers. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. We've overshot our time, but we have just one last question. Can fibroid be associated to cancer, or can long period of fibroid lead to cancer?
No, that's a no. Yeah, fibroids are different. They're just mass of cells in the uterus, or the lining of the womb. So they're not cancerous. Yeah, if they were cancerous, it'd be a different thing altogether. Your doctor will tell you when they do your scans and all of that. They would tell you. But generally, fibroids are not cancer, because fibroid is, funny enough, pretty much very common with Black women. So yeah, it's fibroid is just different from cancers. Yeah, 2 different things.
Fantastic. We thank you very much indeed. We wish we had more time, but we do have to wrap this up. May I please invite the Vice Chairman, Mr. Adebola Babatunde, FCIS, to take the vote of thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. I hope I'm audible enough.
Affirmative, you are. Please go ahead.
So on behalf of DEAR Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, Lagos State Chapter, under the able leadership of our chairman, Ms. Efosa Ewere FCIS, I want to say thank you to our speaker, Laura Urobo, we enjoy the insightful session we had this afternoon. It's, I would say it's enlightening, and cancer is, let me say, a topic that everyone should take serious, and that's why we have considered this topic at this particular time, so that while we are growing professionally and while we are chasing the bag, let me say, we should also be mindful of our health. So thank you very much for this. And I would say thank you to our President, Mrs. Uto Ukpana. Thank you for gracing this webinar, and you joined very early. Thank you so much. I also say thank you to all council members and to all our colleagues who joined today. I really appreciate you. Most of us joined very much early, and which shows the much interest that we have in this topic, and the fact that it's engaging. I could see our participation, the questions that we asked, and the comments. They all show the fact that we followed the presentation by our speaker. So I would say thank you for that. While we've learned some of the things we've learned today, I will implore us to be deliberate with our health, and I pray that God will also keep us. And so I also want to invite us for our program, the Governance Summit coming up. That's in like a few months down the line, specifically on October 30th this year. It's a summit again. So I will implore us to take benefit of the early bird registration, which is going to end on that's 31st August. So let's take benefit of that. The theme for this year's Governance Summit is Governance Redefined in a Business Environment, a Continuum or a Paradigm or New Paradigms. So it's going to be exciting as usual, and it's going to be very much engaging, and it's going to benefit us very well in our practice. So on that note, I will say thank you very much for everyone who have participated. Also to our Social Secretary, Mr. Timdai Odulaja, thank you for anchoring this event. More grace, upon you, and more grace to your elbow. So on this point, I will yield the floor to Madam Chairman, if you have any addition to make. Thank you very much.
Thank you, VC. Go ahead, Madam Chair. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, my VC. And I once again want to appreciate everyone who has taken out their time to join us for this session, and particularly to our speaker. I know she's been very busy trying to get a hold of her to give us some insights on this topic. So I truly want to appreciate everyone for their time, and we hope that when we call you again to either speak at our event or join to be a participant or be a part of our audience for this knowledge sharing session, you would respond to our call. So I'm sure we can have the national anthem now and close up the session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Secretariat, please, the national anthem.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve,
Amen. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. God bless the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria. God bless us all. Thank you very much indeed, and have a fantastic rest of the day. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.